Hey there, listeners. This is Danny, producer and person on the show. This is just a heads up. This episode is recorded during the age of the coronavirus, which, if you're listening to it now, we're still in. So sorry, we're all in it. That sucks. But if you're listening to it later, I just want you to know the show normally has much better audio quality than this, and maybe the rapport is a little better. It depends. Do you think it's worth meeting in people in real life, or do you want to live in the corona era forever? That's it. That's the little disclaimer. Enjoy the episode. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Am I the Asshole podcast. I'm Danny Vega, here, not here actually, but digitally here. Isn't that fascinating? With my lovely co-host, Sarah Levine.
Hey, I was going to say you should call this AITA Quarantine Edition.
Yeah, coronavirus, self-isolating, I'm a prepper who bought 3 buckets edition. Hey, we have a very special guest today. Bryan Yang is on the program. You might know him from What's Eating You Pod, and his tweet recently went viral. Bryan, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me. Wow, what a time to be alive.
You can say that again.
Yeah, I've never done a pod this way, and we've been forced to by Mother Nature. Incredible.
Why is she doing this to us?
We deserve it, honestly, so...
Just so the audience knows who you are, I want to jump into this discussion a little later, but I got to tell them about this tweet that you wrote, because as of right now, it has 100,000 retweets, 112,000 retweets, 623,000 likes. And the tweet says, if you guys keep calling it the Chinese virus, then we get to call it the white mass shooting.
And only about 10 or so death threats. So that's like pretty good ratios.
Honestly, yeah.
10 death threat? Oh my God.
I get it though. People are nuts and it's like a race thing, So I've had other tweets dealing with race similar to this. And like, that's just to be expected now.
It's just funny because it's like you're calling white people murderous, and then they're like, I ain't murderous. I'll murder you, motherfucker.
100%. The logic is super sound, airtight stuff.
So what happens when you get 100,000 tweets? Like, is your phone did it blow up? You turn off notifications?
Yeah, so I just shut that off, and now, like, basically you just, you can go back in and check to see what's happening to the tweet. Kind of just like leave it on its own for a little while and come back in and like, whoa, okay, it's still going up.
Cool.
Because there's just, if I had my notifications on, it would, I think my phone would blow up.
Amazing.
That's amazing.
Goals.
Well, we got one heck of an ep for you guys here today. Our second situation of the day, AITA for refusing to pay child support for a child that's not mine. But first, AITA for telling my GF that it's weird that she has a tank full of fake jellyfish in her living room. By you, just not HXX.
Just no thanks.
Oh, got it. Thank you, Sarah. You're up on this. By the way, we have a new Patreon member, Frank. Welcome to the Patreon. Just throwing
Thank you.
Frank, I love you.
My 21M GF, Alice, 27F, and I have been together for just over 4 months. I sometimes stay over at her house as I still live at home. Alice suffers from anxiety and depression that she says comes from losing her mom to cancer 6 years ago. And her dad is extremely depressed and unreliable, so they aren't close. Alex works at the local veterinary clinic and has a well-paid job, so she doesn't have much in the way of monetary worries. We get along great, and I seriously love her, and that's why I'm so pissed off that our first big, real fight is over something so ridiculous. Last week, I called past Alice's on my way back from class to find her setting up a tank. I thought or assumed she must have decided to get a pet fish, but it was actually just an LED glowing tank. Not even fish, jellyfish. Try explaining that to visitors. I asked her what the hell she had bought it for, and she says it's supposed to help with anxiety. Yeah, the whole in that logic is this. She's already on antidepressants and has been for years. So why the hell would she need an LED tank full of fake jellyfish? And how the hell would she even begin to think that's a legitimate thing? She's smart enough to get a degree, but not smart enough to avoid a blatant online scam. It turned into a fight when I said she was a prime candidate to join an MLM scheme if she was gullible enough to believe a fake fish tank would calm her anxiety. I told her people would find it really uncomfortable to sit in the living room with a random fake jellyfish tank. She called me an idiot and asked me to leave because apparently I was raising my voice. I barely raised my voice at all. I was just frustrated. I know I reacted strongly to it, but it was just so crazy. And knowing she's allowing herself to be scammed is even more maddening. She ghosted me for a week and then finally texted me this morning with this, quote, just to let you know, the jellyfish work great. I feel way less anxious at night. But honestly, I think the biggest stress reliever was dumping your insecure ass. I'm sure she hasn't really dumped me over a fish tank of all things. And when she unblocks me, I'll explain myself more calmly. But AITA for being mad that she fell for a scam.
Oh my God.
Wow. I feel like that needs to be like a movie. That was incredible.
A lot happened there.
I feel like the movie is called Get Out.
So just so you know, this is you can actually go to the listing. OP included the listing. It's Wish. Are you familiar with Wish?
No. What is Wish?
It's basically like a site where you can buy junk and.
Oh yeah. It's like knockoff Amazon, basically.
Exactly. And this jellyfish tank, they list it as selling for normally like $600, and then the price is slashed out and it says $29. But it
what
looks
a
like,
steal!
It literally looks like it costs $7 if that's possible. So in OP's defense, I will say the tank, it's really tacky. It's a really ugly tank.
I guess I'm confused about what he thinks the alleged scam is. Like, she clearly doesn't think that she's getting real jellyfish.
Yeah, and I am public with my own struggles with mental health, and I feel like anything that helps that's harmless is fine. I don't know, man. I don't know why he was so upset about this. If it helps her even in a placebo kind of way, who cares is my thing.
I know. He seems to think that it's going to like hurt their reputation because he goes, right. Not even fish, jellyfish. Try explaining that to visitors. Like,
and I think the big issue here is like, you still live at home and you're mad at this person who has their own place and can buy their own stuff. Like, this might be an issue of looking internally instead of looking externally.
Yeah. I mean, also like, as a 28-year-old female, like the thought of dating a 21-year-old male is no.
Yeah, that's a crazy gap for that age.
Yeah, that is.
Like that, if you're 21, you're a child.
Oh yeah, when I walked by Union Square area, remember back when you could walk outside, guys?
Good times.
Loved outside.
And you see the NYU kids, and they're like in their 20s or late teens. They look like little babies. So that's a rough one. That age gap is pretty rough.
It's pretty wild. I mean, I guess, okay, to see his side a little bit, I think that he thinks that she thought, whoa.
Galaxy brain.
He thinks that she thought she was getting like a legit jellyfish tank, but I kind of feel like, and I've gone on Wish before and I haven't bought anything on there, but like I feel like it's pretty obvious that it's bullshit. Like no one is like, oh, clearly you can get a computer for $34 and that's going to be just as good as a real computer.
I mean, can you buy live animals off of Wish in the first place? Like, yeah. I'm assuming.
No, of course not. Well, of course
so
real
why
jellyfish. I mean, she'd be insane if she thought she was going to get real jellyfish.
Like, just judging by like the way that this woman handled this entire interaction leads me to believe that she's not stupid. So I'm like, I just don't see how he would think that she would think that.
Yeah, this thing, I just pulled it up on my laptop. It looks basically like it's like a lava lamp type thing. And I don't think that's like it's not too much of a red flag to me. I think, she it's her money. She wanted to buy this.
Yeah, he also says, I told her people would find it really uncomfortable to sit in the living room with a random fake jellyfish tank. And it's like, what?
Everyone would be like, oh, cool, jellyfish tank.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, look, I think it does look pretty trashy. I think it's hilarious, but I think it looks like, trash. But
I think it's excellent. Who cares?
I mean, it's funny. I think it's like a quirky thing to have. I wouldn't be uncomfortable with it. I mean,
we can't all have beautiful all white apartments from wherever, Danny.
Call him out. Give out his address.
You're too classy for all of us, is what I'm saying. Or at least your girlfriend is.
It's called RH.
I was going to say West Elm, to be honest, but okay.
West Elm, disgusting.
In the guy's defense, I will say it has a 2.5-star rating with only 4 reviews. So like that is, I don't know. I'm a review guy. I would not buy this on second thought. And also the idea that it's supposed to be $600 is hilarious.
Hilarious, right? I mean, I think every listing on Wish is like that too. You're like, really? This normally goes for $44,000. My God.
But that's how much toilet paper costs nowadays.
There we go. So the other aspect here that is kind of haunting me is I'm sure she hasn't really dumped me. It's like, no, dude, she totally 100% dumped you, dog.
Well, that's the part that's like, okay, it's all fun and games, but now it's like actually concerning.
Yeah, he's just out of it. He doesn't realize what's happening.
I think he's not out of it. To me, this is like, oh God, I don't know. It just seems very sinister.
It does. And I will say, I would like to hear from her side, because obviously when you tell the story, you're always the hero, and he's making himself seem very reasonable and very level-headed, and I highly doubt that he was, because like this is not a deal breaker, it is weird, and it's not the classiest thing in the world, but he also seems like a little unhinged for thinking that this thing would make people think less of him, instead of like, you live at home, your girlfriend is basically your guardian, like she can do what she wants.
I think he sounds very unhinged. It's like, sir, she told you she was dumping you. She blocked you on everything. What fantasy relationship are you in?
Right. It was like in her mind, she was like, I have a choice between my fake jellyfish and this guy. I'm going fake jellyfish.
Hell yeah.
So I wanted to circle back to something you said that I thought was really spot on, Bryan. So he says, it turned into a fight when I said she was a prime candidate to join an MLM scheme if she was gullible enough to believe a fake fish tank would calm her anxiety. And you were saying that, you have things that calm you down or what, like, it's kind of whatever work. Like, I've been getting into something that I'm a little embarrassed of, but so far nobody's really like picked on me for it. I like to go do the sensory deprivation tank. I like it. I like to float. They call it floating, So it's sort of like, and I think it is a little ridiculous. It's very expensive, and you're literally paying to do nothing, to feel nothing, to be nothing. But I like it.
And that's great, right? Because where we live in the city here, there's sensory overload all the time, and I think the lack of that is probably soothing. And for me, obviously, like he said, like, she's already on meds. Like, why isn't that enough? Like, yeah, I'm on meds, but I also have my things that aren't probably 100% FDA approved that I still like to calm me down, because that's like my personal preference. And I don't think it hurts. I don't think it hurts for me to watch like a guy play video games on YouTube because it calms me down. It doesn't mean I'm gonna fall for an MLM scheme. He's going like the slippery slope argument so much,
Right. It's like people don't understand that you can just have like your weird, quirky things, like, and if it gives you comfort, that's it. Yeah, that's all you need.
Just let people have their things. And it seems like that escalated so quickly between like her buying this harmless thing that she likes to being like, you're going to join a pyramid scheme.
Yes.
Exactly. I love pyramid schemes. Like, I'm so morbidly fascinated with them, but even I don't see how he went from A to B here.
J. Ray R. writes, are you the asshole for responding negatively when your GF tries something beyond medication to help her with her mental health? Why, yes, you are. Allison R. YTA and your immaturity is showing. Looking at a picture of the ocean can be calming. Reciting a recipe for your grandma's pot pie can help anxiety. What cannot help is having an asshole twerp boyfriend who invalidates real mental health conditions.
Woo! Tell us how you really feel. I love that one.
Got him. Sal D, the way he calls it a scam as if she thinks they're real. If she's not blowing her rent grocery budget on this, who is he to tell her what she should spend money on?
I agree. Thank you, Sal.
I mean, this woman's life is literally like 10 times more put together than his shitty life.
Yeah,
exactly.
It's also weird to me that he thinks that like anxiety medication is like a magical cure-all. You'll never feel anxious ever again. Like, it's not how any of that works.
No, and also as I look through the wish, she bought the nicest jellyfish tank. There are worse ones.
No way, really?
Yeah.
What is worse than that?
So the one she has looks like a regular fish tank. There's one that's like a rectangle with only 2 jellyfish in it. It goes for $10. Like, she could have got that one. That one might have been a little embarrassing, but the one she got looks pretty legit as far as wish jellyfish tanks go, and there are several.
Wow,
large category.
There's so many. Oh my God, I just Googled it. Good Lord, there's so many jellyfish tanks on Wish.
There are a lot, and you can also buy more jellyfish for 96 cents a piece.
Wow.
Wow.
The whole world.
Okay, see, that would be the scam if she got the one with 2 jellyfish.
Yes.
So Ashley Lewis H writes, YTA, Andy got dumped. You're deaf single, mate. And if this is how you treat the women who come into your life, you should get used to them walking out of your life too. You disrespected her in her home while your broke ass still lives at home with mommy. Hachi machi.
This one gave me life. Like, the women just went in on this guy.
Tristan K, you're so effing weird. Crying, laughing emoji. Crying, laughing emoji. What made you so cranky towards jellyfish? Crying, laughing emoji.
Maybe he got stung by a jellyfish as a child.
I was stung by a jellyfish as a child, and it's very unpleasant.
Would you dump Danny if she got a fake jellyfish tank?
Yeah, would it be triggering for you?
She actually hates jellyfish more than me. She hates jellyfish so much that she will eat jellyfish, even though she doesn't like the taste of it, just to get back at the jellyfish that she hates.
I love that.
Jellyfish kind of doesn't taste like anything.
I agree, but the way they season it with that like spicy cool shit, I love that stuff.
Right.
I don't know what that's called. Now, Buddha B, this is a really fascinating comment here. This seems like a fake story to get more people to buy fake jellyfish fish tanks.
You know, that sounds crazy, but to be honest, like, companies have been using Reddit to make these viral stories as marketing ploys. Like, they did it in a Bridezilla subreddit, and it became this like viral wedding shaming story. And then it turned out that it was like a fake story made by some random marketing company. So you know what? Buddha B might be onto something.
You know, I had a
the conspiracy theory for sure.
I had a whole conspiracy theory about this. There was a post that went viral where a guy had he had 5 kids with this woman, and he found out all 5 were not his. And the linchpin of it was there was no link or anything like that, but he just used the words ancestry test, and everyone else I knew had called it 23andMe. That was by the brand that I'd heard of. But he used the exact phrase ancestry test, which is the name of Ancestry.com's 23andMe, essentially. And I had a theory that he had that this was a brilliant marketing play because the exposure was like enormous. I mean, it was front page of Reddit.
Oh, yeah. That's a huge red flag for sure.
Ooh, yeah.
And whatever this story is, whether it be real or not, it kind of worked because I am now looking through all of the jellyfish tanks on Wish, and the prices are very fair.
Well, I'll tell you this, Brian. Yes. I am actually giving away one of these jellyfish tanks and a $50 Olive Garden gift card in our Facebook group. Whoever invites the most people on their Facebook Listeners, if you're hearing this, it's too late for you, unfortunately, because this episode's coming out in a bit. But Bryan, you can still hop on that. You just got to invite quite a few people.
Wow.
Just make sure they're cool.
Or I could dip into my savings and get my own $8.99 jellyfish tank on my own.
If it really did help with her anxiety, I think I need this now. So.
Oh boy, we've become a Wish.com commercial. Top Reddit comment, Nomilio, Gnomilio, writes, YTA, please get to therapy for the anger that comes through in basically every word of this post. Bring this post to the therapist. The company is like, we need every bit of exposure. Get it to the therapist. To be honest, she probably won't need the fake jellyfish if she breaks up with you because you're likely the cause of her anxiety. Damn, he got burned to hell.
Yeah, this guy got torched. And, I think he kind of had to have known if you bring this post asking already, like, hey, like, I feel like he felt it deep down in his heart that he was in the wrong.
Yeah, I think he knew. I think he could sense it on some level.
Well, what do you think gave it away? The fact that his girlfriend dumped him?
So I think we all agree, AITA for telling my GF that it's weird that she has a tank full of fake jellyfish in her living room. YTA.
YTA.
AITA for refusing to pay child support for a child that's not mine by you new -writing. A few years ago, I married my soon-to-be ex-wife. Along with the marriage came our 2-year-old son. His biological father was a deadbeat who couldn't hold a job and avoids child support and never had any contact with the son. I did the most manliest thing you could do and put my big boy pants and I took her son as my own. He calls me dad and whatnot. We bonded. I really care for the kid. The first few years of marriage was great, which resulted in us having our very own daughter. Then my wife cheated on me and I filed for divorce. I still pick up both kids, even though I'm legally only responsible for one. I carry her and her son on my insurance to this day, maybe against my better judgment, but I'd like to give her some time to get her shit together before I drop her off it completely. The finalization of divorce is in August. The soon-to-be ex-mother-in-law insisted I should be paying child support for her son, and I flat out said no. I will take care of my biological daughter, though. The mother-in-law says if I don't, I'm a scumbag who doesn't deserve to see him. She even convinced my ex to get on board with this idea. I got angry and went as far as to say that I don't plan on seeing him. I really care for the kid. He's a good kid who never had a father figure growing up until I came into his life. AITA for refusing to pay child support for a child that isn't biologically mine. Oof.
I feel like I've got to say, like, I think we do a variation of this every month, like every month or two.
I mean, I feel like this one's a little different. I feel like in the past it was like...
That's true. This one is, but I think we always do some kind of like, someone doesn't want to pay child support posts.
Yeah, but I mean, in this case, I'm kind of with him. I mean, there's no way he has to pay child support for someone else's kid. Like, that's not how child support works.
Right. This one's more like a legal issue. And to me, it's like, well, if, a judge would rule that he had to, then he had to. But I doubt if it's not your biological child, then it's like not your responsibility, I guess. I'm not sure.
No way. It's because it's someone's responsibility.
Right.
There's another person whose job it is to do that, and it's not him.
So I definitely don't think he'd be the asshole for not paying child support for this kid, but just reading through, I'm kind of getting the sense, like, I just feel like he's angry at his wife and is like kind of taking it out on the kid intentionally or unintentionally.
Yeah, I mean, that's the one alarming thing I found about his rhetoric is sort of like, I did the manliest thing you could do and put my big boy pants on and took her son as my own to say that and to like reach that far and say that that was your son, but then say like, oh, I'm unwilling, or like I'm willing to not see him.
So, yeah, I mean, I think this guy is kind of like, I don't know if I would say a hypocrite, but he's kind of like inconsistent. On the one hand, he's like, I really care for the kid. Like, he called me dad. On the other hand, it's like, he's going to drop this kid like a hot potato saying like, oh, you want me to pay for him? Oh, that's fine. I don't ever want to see him anyway. So it's kind of like, well, which one is it? Do you care for him or do you not want to see him?
Right. He wants it both ways. He wants the credit for being the stand-in dad, but then he doesn't want to have to pay for anything afterwards. And that does give you the faint whiff of an asshole. But it is understandable when a relationship dissolves. He probably has a lot of hurt feelings. And you can tell he thinks highly of himself because he called himself a big boy and a man many times. So I think he sounds like he's just really hurt for sure. And he wants to be a hero. And then he also doesn't want the financial burden of this extra child.
Yeah, and I mean, I think that's spot on, and I like that you said that you could sense hurt here because I think there's definite truth in that, and he's basically stuck in this position because look, what she is doing, what the mother-in-law is doing is malicious and cruel and unprecedented and summarily not a thing. So like,
what do you mean, like withholding this kid, like basically using this kid as like blackmail?
A pawn in her game to extract money from him. Like that's just not how child support works. I've never heard of that. Like that's just completely not how it works. It's like somebody does owe child support. It's whoever fathered that kid. Like what? Like go chase that guy down. And it actually shows me that the mother-in-law is honestly sick. That's sick. She is putting the financial health of this family, which obviously is important, but she's putting that above the relationship that this kid has with honestly what might be his psychological father, because OP says that this kid never even had a father figure growing up.
Yeah, I'm with you. I mean, I think OP's like definitely he's hurt and he's mad at the ex-wife, and like I feel like he's trying to kind of get back at her / not help her, but doing that hurts the kid.
Right, that's 100% right. Like if he was the father figure that he said he was, I think you take that one on the chin and you're like, look, I can't help you as much as I did when I was the kid's father, but now that we're getting divorced, I will try and help as much as I can. Even though we're not in love anymore, I still love the kid. So you can't be like that. You can't be like, I'm this kid's real dad, even though I'm not the biological father, and then kind of step out from the financial obligation when you want that credit for raising that kid, but you don't want to take that burden of like, well, if you're going to take all that credit, there's a monetary value on top of that as well.
There's also, so I just wanted to Google this. This is according to a site called legalmatch.com. So like, I don't know, take it with a grain of salt. That sounds like a dating site for lawyers. But it does, so it kind of says like, it might not be as cut and dry as we think. It says most states recognize the importance and value of child-parent relationships, even if they're not based on biological paternity. For blah, blah, blah. You may be responsible for child support, even if you're not the biological father. Family lawyers refer to this as equitable paternity, or some other legal term that I can't pronounce, which could happen if you and the child's mother encouraged a close familial relationship, you held the child out as your own. So it honestly could be a thing where they would have to get the courts involved.
It is a thing. I'm getting a text from my girlfriend who is apparently listening, despite having a door between us. So I'm probably keeping her from being productive completely. But she said that this is a concept in law and provided the exact same link you did. So apparently this is a
legal
thing.
match.
All right, I retract that it could be a thing. However, my dad is involved. My dad is involved in family courts, and like this isn't a common thing for sure.
Yeah.
Right. My big issue is the mother-in-law stepping in, because it's kind of not any of her business. It's between him and his ex-wife to me. And the mother-in-law saying you owe us money that feels bad. That's the part that feels bad to me.
That feels bad.
That also could be like, I don't know. Have you guys ever had your mom meddle in your business and you're like, Mom, what the fuck are you doing? Like I'm not aligned with that at all.
Right. 100%.
So I wonder if that's what's going on, or, I mean, the daughter could be aligned with that.
Right.
Yeah. This is all like, me feeling from what Danny was reading, but it feels like her and her mom are in cahoots.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I'm ready to reach that far. I guess ultimately for me, even though I think this guy has some weird masculinity issues, I do think that he's being honest, and I do think that he is trying to be good to this kid, and only when he was pushed and this became about money, which I think the mother-in-law did inappropriately, whether or not daughter is in cahoots, did he then say like, well then fine, I'm not going to see this kid, because he got angry, he got worked up. And I actually think that her doing that, instead of the mother-in-law, instead of just prioritizing their relationship, which she probably should do, has instead focused on the money, which just seems wrong. And one of the things here, I don't know if you said this, Sarah, but just that this comes with custody rights.
Yeah.
Like the only reason you're paying child support really is if you could plausibly have custody, because that means it's, your responsibility. So like that's the other move he has here. Like if it really is plausible, which to me it doesn't really sound like it was, then he could say, well, you know what? How about I just take the kid?
Yeah, the thing is, money always makes things really messy, and it sounds like they ruined a good thing that they had going. Like him and the mom weren't together anymore, but he was still part of the kid's life, and now that money got involved, it got really, really messy. And unfortunately, out of everyone, it's going to be the kid that suffers the most.
Exactly. And that is why I flaw mother-in-law for her aggressive approach and pushing him into that position. Jacqueline C. writes, a judge won't ever make you pay as you are not biologically responsible. But the truth is that he calls you dad and you say you care for him, and now you don't see him just because you don't want to pay for him. He probably heard what you said, is heartbroken, and yes, you are the asshole. I mean,
I think that's reaching.
I think that's reaching. That's not what he described. Mia G writes, YTA, you chose to step in where the other stepped out. You don't divorce children, you divorce a spouse. By not taking care of your now son, you are proving to him to be no better than his sperm donor. What did this kid ever do to you? I agree with that. I mean, ultimately, OP is being a bit weak, but maybe I think he also feels cornered and he doesn't necessarily know what kind of position he's in.
I mean, OP is like acting like he's a saint for putting this kid on his health insurance. Like, if you really think that's your son, I don't know, like, get a grip.
Yeah, you're right.
Like, I'm not going to build you a statue.
Right. If you had taken on that from day one, because when you started this relationship with this woman, OP, you were like, I'm the dad. So that goes with everything. You're going to take care of the kid. You're going to save for his college or her college. You're going to pay for meals. You're going to pay for sports. You're going to pay for movies. All that stuff comes along with it. And yeah, it kind of feels like this guy has an issue with his own manhood, and it was tested, and he kind of felt like he had to like really go overboard and be like, look, I'm scorched earth. You won't see me. I won't see the kid. No money. And that seems like the harshest route to go.
Kyrie E writes, YTA, you can't decide to play dad when it's fun and convenient. My friend is raising his former stepson and daughter he had with his ex. As far as he's concerned, that's his son. That's the promise he made the kid. And unlike marriages, you can't get out of those without being TA forever. I gotta say, this comment is really pushing me in a certain direction, because it just seems like he was kind of posturing with the son. And it's like, look, even if the relationship is relatively short, like, God, man, this kid probably thinks you're everything. Like, if he thinks you're his dad, like, you're Superman to this kid, and it sucks that he's kind of trapped in it in a sense, but like he wanted to do the manliest thing possible. So keep doing it.
That's right. Like so fucked up. I'm like, you decided to father a child out of your own like sense of manliness and not like, I don't get the reasoning there.
It's kind of like he treated the kid like a trophy. It's like, hey, look at me. And the kid not being his was part of like him being such a hero. Like, I'm raising this kid that's not even mine. And then now the relationship ended. He's like, he doesn't get that praise anymore. So it's like, I'm out, which that sucks, man. If you are a true hero, you keep raising this kid even though the relationship is over.
Absolutely. Lexa L writes, I was a stepchild when my stepdad and mom got divorced. He only cared about my sister and proved it daily. I felt terrible as he was my only father figure. When you married her, you made a commitment to that little boy. You shouldn't have married her without taking this into consideration. You're a huge asshole. The child support doesn't matter, but the emotional damage will.
That hits.
That hits. Top Reddit comment going the other way. Firefly Fly 3. NTA, unless you legally adopted him, they have no right to come after you for child support. I know it sucks for the kid. They should be going after Biodad for child support. It's not fair if he gets a pass, but they expect you to pay.
So the thing is, like, if the biological, first of all, like, this now is not true, we know, but if the biological dad, it's not like they're using this guy as a cash cow necessarily. If the biological dad really is a deadbeat, you can't squeeze blood from a stone. They might not have, like, he might have literally no money.
Yeah, I mean, I just think that the thing is here that I'm hearing really from no one, and this is going to shape my verdict, is a sense of like, hey, like, how is this going to affect the kid? The mother-in-law isn't thinking about that. The father isn't thinking about that. And so I think you know which way I'm leaning. And I just think that this is being handled with completely all the wrong priorities.
Yeah, I'm with you. I mean, it's kind of like the question is very cut and dry, but it's like the actual situation is way more complicated than that.
Yeah, totally. Like the legal aspect of this is aside from what the pod verdict will be.
Exactly, because AITA for refusing to pay child support for a child that's not mine. Well, of course, the answer to that question in isolation, a random child, is going to be a big fat no assholes here. But
imagine if people with children would just come up to you on the street and be like, pay child support.
Get away from me, coronavirus and a child. But I think we all agree here, AITA for refusing to pay child support for a child that's not mine, and the situation, everyone sucks here.
Sure. Yep. Everyone does.
Because
I can't believe we didn't see that in the group.
Yeah, because the kid is getting screwed by all parties.
Yep. And when you don't prioritize a kid, you're a big fat asshole. And all these people are assholes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Speaking of assholes, Bryan, it's so good to have you on the show. I mean, I have some guilt. You do have here in your Twitter bio that you're Asian.
He has to put it in his bio.
It's a bit.
So, I mean, look, man, I'll be honest with you. I've been like borderline prepper, insane about the coronavirus since, like, I don't know, Sarah, was it since January? I mean, I've been crazy about this for so long. I got a little bit into trouble in the group because I confessed to calling it the Wuhan flu, the Chinese flu, and I'm coming to understand that that's racist, but I just wanted to hear what you had to say about that.
Yeah, so I think there were other pandemics like the Spanish flu in 1918. It was called that at that time because I guess they tied it to Spain, but the CDC has recommended, like, we can't tie these nations to these flus because it creates this very unsafe environment for people of that ethnicity and that nationality to live. And it clearly has affected Chinese people and Asian people in America. Chinatown was hit really hard economically. So many businesses are having to shut down for good, not just temporarily like a lot of places are. And there has been like some violence towards Asian people as well. So I think that's the thinking of why you don't want to do it. I totally understand if that's, I have heard it been called the Wuhan flu in the news. And I think if that's where you heard it and that's why you're calling it that, that's completely fine. But to me, it's all contextual, because when Trump and other Republicans call it the Chinese flu, there is a reason behind that that's nefarious. It's not because they didn't know any better. They want to shirk the guilt of not being prepared for this and blame it on China. And then, you know, ostensibly blame Asian people for it as well. So that is like the main reasoning why that name is being called racist.
Yes, and I think I'm on board for almost all of this. I think I definitely understand, and I really do forget, especially because we all live in New York. I forget that people are so stupid that they will look at a random Chinese person who lives in America and be like, "Oh, the coronavirus is their fault, and I should throw water on them or whatever."
Actually, even before we had confirmed cases in the U.S., my friend's friend who is Korean was assaulted so badly that they ended up in the ER over coronavirus. So people are terrible and stupid. And yeah, I think
because
even if you can tie it to a country, it's dangerous to go around calling it, like ascribing it to any people or region or whatever.
Right. And the thing is too, like Italy has been hit with it almost as bad as many Asian countries have been, and they are kind of like just left out of it. They handled the pandemic terribly and spread the virus to so many people, but because it's being called the Chinese flu, the Chinese people are taking the blame. Chinatown's taking a hit, but Little Italy was fine up until now, when all the businesses now have to shut down temporarily. So it's like this weird thing of like, there are many nations that handled this poorly and could have helped to stop it, but it's kind of being, the Chinese are being railroaded, it feels like.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think any Chinese individuals should be blamed. I guess I do feel, though, the difference between China and Italy is that, ultimately this did come from China. And like, all I did was watch this one Vox video, which says that this has to do with the wet markets and the animals, literally wild animals that are kept like in cages. And that's how diseases like these have spread in the past. Like that's how SARS spread as well. And there was one that came from like a civet cat. I forget, some other disease.
I thought there was something from a bat.
Well, yeah, this one they say is from a bat that got into a pangolin that got into a person, but they're not entirely sure. So I just wanted to say, and I'm not defending, because I know there are there's a lot of people that are just hateful and fuck those people. But there is people online who want to hold the CCP responsible, and to them, that's why they say Chinese virus, and that's where I got that notion in my head. Full disclosure, I am on the Freaky Prepper subreddits.
Oh yeah, I don't think China is blameless in this. I think they handled. There are many aspects of this that they handled poorly. Like they tried to hide that this virus was as deadly as it was. There are rumors that they murdered the doctor who sounded the alarm. That doctor told the government that there's this new strain of flu that's very deadly. They ignored him, and then he mysteriously died recently. So I think they have handled part of it really poorly. But as of late, it's this weird thing. Governments are they're all bad. And, our government has been really bad recently, but China's response now, after all of those missteps, has started to become good. Like we can take cues from them now because they're now admitting, okay, this is bad. Here's how we're dealing with it. And the rate at which they're building ICU beds and the rate at which they're trying to tackle the virus now, I think has been good recently, and we can learn from them. So I think the scorched earth of like, we can't learn anything from them because they started it is kind of like a bad way to look at it. I think the wet markets are bad. I think their government hiding the virus initially was bad, but I think now we can step back and be like, there are a few things that they're doing well that we can adopt here. It kind of sucks to be like, we don't like China. We can't take any ideas from China.
It's like they started it, they're going to finish it.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing that alarms me is when I look at, and I don't know how valid these are because, the Chinese government is so controlling of their social media and stuff. But as far as I know, I mean, they look real to me. They're live streams of Wuhan. And I was just telling Sarah, who was alarmed about something she read. And in these live streams, you can still see that Wuhan is dead. Nobody's walking around. Like one car is on the street. And, this is a city that's as dense as New York City. So it's pretty wild because, it's supposedly almost done over there. So.
Yeah, I think they reported like one new case today, which is crazy. They're bringing the number down really quickly for sure, and it is kind of scary. Like this weekend was really nice weather out, and everyone was out. And this was already after the mayor was like, "Stay in, please. Start adopting social distancing," and just everyone was like, "YOLO, man, we're gonna hang out.
Totally.
It's too nice out." Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's the problem.
But YOLO though, like, isn't that real?
No, Sarah, no. That's how you don't get the virus, damn it. Speaking of people being guilty about the virus, it's time for everybody's favorite part of the show, listener submissions.
So
AITA.
this one actually was submitted by someone in the group, like to the group.
Oh, yeah. So they did not post it anonymously.
No.
Well, that's fine. If you guys, just so you know, go to AITApod.com if you want to submit anonymously. If you want to post straight to the Facebook group, we don't recommend that. You could get attacked. You're going to feel attacked. I might even personally attack you.
Danny.
Anonymous. AITA for uninviting people to my baby shower due to coronavirus, aka the Rona. Somebody turned me on to that today.
All right. I think we can all go with Rona. Sure.
Rona.
Because I feel like also Corona, the beer, must be getting hit hard by this as well.
We're poor Corona. My baby shower is planned for May 9th. A few weeks ago, I sent out invites to around 25 ladies and was planning a separate but nearby gathering for the guys and kids. With coronavirus sweeping the country, I'm coming to terms with the fact that I might need to cut my guest list down to just a few people or consider canceling it altogether. I'm continuing to monitor the situation closely and want to make health and safety a priority. But selfishly, I'm very saddened at the thought of having to cancel my special celebration. Would I be the asshole if I uninvited some people and kept it to just a few very close friends and family members?
I've got to say, who in these times would be mad that they were uninvited to something so that no one would get deathly ill?
I think a lot of people. I've seen so many Repubs. Like I'm friends with some Repubs on Facebook, and they'll post like shit like making fun of people who are afraid of the virus. Like I think there are people who would be offended. They find the fear ridiculous, and they don't understand that this is what I always say, and people get creeped out by it, but I just say the virus hates fear. The virus loves when you're like, let's go to the party. The virus loves when you say that.
Oh yeah, I mean the worst part of this thing is the boomers in my life, like parents, etc. They don't believe in this thing, and it's like, but this thing will kill you, not me.
I'm like, what do you mean? Like it's not like Santa Claus.
Right, like
it's not Santa Claus.
I'm not going out for you. Like I could go out, I'll be fine. Like my immune system is good. I'm young, I'll be fine. But we're not going out for you. And yeah, I've talked to boomers. I don't want to reveal who they are, but they're like, "Oh, I'm still going on my trip. I don't care. This is like, it's my life. I'm not afraid of it." It's like, yeah, that doesn't matter. This thing isn't like terrorism when George Bush was like, if you don't continue your normal day-to-day life, they win. Like it's a virus. It doesn't know that you're going out.
Right. It doesn't know that you don't give a fuck about it.
Yeah. It's just going to be like, great, I'm going to kill you. So that's really scary that people are acting defiant towards it when it could not care less.
Yeah, I mean that's so spot on because I got that same attitude from the boomers, and I think you're right. I think you hit it on the head. They're thinking of it like terrorism, and it's like, no, man, no, this is not like that. This is not an ideology.
No, and when I see Trump tweet stuff like America needs to be strong and come together, it's like, no, we literally need to be apart.
Come apart.
This is not a thing where we can be like patriotic and beat it.
Everybody be patriotic from the comfort of your own house. We can all say the Pledge of Allegiance together.
I think it's very counterintuitive, but it's like the brave, courageous thing to do is nothing. Do nothing. Stay in bed all day. Okay, Frank?
And honestly,
Chinese food.
Isn't that what we've all wanted, like ever? And now I just can't
Seriously.
believe it.
Kevin H. writes, No assholes here. Also, people will understand. You're going to be like the 40th plan they had that got canceled. Also, buy a fake jellyfish aquarium on Wish.
Yes.
FJTN, which is an acronym someone make up, which means fake jellyfish tank needed.
Oh, thank God. I literally put that shit into Urban Dictionary last night. I saw it all over the group, and it was like, we have nothing for you.
You guys got to add that to your website.
Yes.
And
I will say the one positive thing to come out of this whole virus situation is like first of all, you shouldn't be making plans anymore anyway, but now you have an ironclad excuse to cancel them.
Oh, what a good out.
Such a good out.
I'm going to be like 5 years from now, like, sorry guys, coronavirus. And they're going to be like, yeah, that was way back in 2020.
Just like Sarah's being really safe. She's being really, really safe.
Oh, yeah.
I will say my birthday is this month. A lot of my friends had birthday parties that were canceled or people were uninvited to, and I didn't feel bad at all. I totally get it. So I wouldn't feel bad canceling it altogether or even uninviting people. I think canceling altogether is like probably the way to go.
Yeah, that's the cleanest solution. Stephanie Neese agrees. She writes, just cancel it and get over yourself. But we did get, this is surprising, some YTAs in the group. Stormy S, YTA, your shower is 2 months away. Everyone has bigger things to worry about. It won't care if they miss your shower. Okay, so Stormy's calling her an asshole for thinking that it could make her an asshole.
I think people are coming from the like privilege, like Kim, there's people that are dying aspect. And while that's true and that's a huge concern, it's like you're allowed to be like sad that the big events that you had planned in your life like can't go according to plan now.
Yeah, right. That's the weirdest thing about this is that I had a show I was really looking forward to do, and now that feels so insignificant, but I still feel sad that I can't do it, you know? It's a very weird feeling to have. And like this shower is probably the biggest thing aside from giving birth that this woman was planning. So it's weird. It's really weird.
Yeah, and like people are canceling their weddings. And at first I was definitely on the like Kim, there's people that are dying train. But now I'm like, damn, if I actually made it to marriage / engagement, like, yeah, I would definitely be bummed if I had to cancel that.
Yeah, I think it's totally okay to feel bad about it.
Shannon M writes, I must say, don't think you're the asshole for paring it down, but I do think you're the asshole for putting the remaining invitees in a weird spot. Like, I love my friends, but I'm going nowhere near a whole group of people right now. I think that's a good point, too. It's just like another reason to just cancel and not complicate this situation with doing like a limited session. Right.
Unless you can somehow get your hands on the corona test and give that out as a party favor.
Oh, yeah.
I'm there. I am there.
Yeah, that would be pretty choice.
It's gonna be awesome.
Bryan, it's been so great to have you on the pod. I feel really good about it. I feel like I learned a lot regarding the Rona.
Yes, that's the catch-all term we can use without feeling racist at all.
Love it.
So tell these people where they can. Well, tell us a little bit about your podcast.
Yeah, my podcast, it is on hiatus. Our studio has shut down temporarily because of the Rona. It's called What's Eating You. We have 29 episodes out now on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. My friend Ariel, who is also a comedian, we both love food. We became friends over bonding about Anthony Bourdain and just how much we enjoy food and cooking and all aspects of food. So we talk about current events and topical stories, all regarding food stuff. And it's pretty fun. You can check it out on my website, at Apple Podcasts, on Spotify, and just check me out at BryanYang.com. You can find my social media handles there and show dates when we are allowed to have comedy in public again.
Exciting. Those are going to be great times, guys. Outside is hopefully still out there. Let's hope.
Fingers crossed. For now, I'm just going to have to get a jellyfish tank and stare into that.
Yeah.
A big FJTN on that note, guys. Thank you so much, Bryan. Thanks for doing the show, and we'll see you guys next Monday morning.